Adventures. I'm on my way. Woo! Yeah! On my way to the tower. What's up, everybody? Welcome to your Thursday show. And it's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be juicy, as the kids say. We've got a lot to discuss today. There's actually a crazy amount of nerdy news out there in the world, including weird Stan Lee created forever using digital technology for Marvel. Crazy interview that Kathleen Kennedy did. The full Variety interview is out there now, and there's actually a lot to get into with regards to that. Weird DC news and some crazy stuff going on over with Papa Zaslav and all those dudes over there. So plenty of stuff to get into today. And I also kind of wanted to tease out a coming MCU video that I'm working on. After yesterday, I gave like a lot of thought to criticisms of Phase 4 for the MCU, and I have like a really big video and a thing that I'm working on. I think you guys will really, really thoroughly enjoy, and I'm pulling into the tower right now. See you in a second. What do you mean the mic's on? Anyway. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the show. By the way, I need you guys to all smash like on this video like right away, because holy shit, the likes are abysmally low. I'm really upset. I might actually just get right back into the Iron Nerd suit and fly out of here. Disgust me. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. With, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and I get it, but it all pales in comparison to you guys not smashing the like button on this video. I know. Don't think about it too hard. Just smash the like button, shut your mouth, buckle up, and get ready for a fucking crazy stream, because we got a lot to get into. Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal when it comes to Star Wars, when it comes to Kenobi, when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of feelings. You know what I mean? And in a sort of strange scenario, Tuesday morning, I woke up. I saw the all of the photographs, all of the different things going on for Star Wars. And, it really like ignited a lot of boyish love and admiration and memories and nostalgia for Star Wars specifically. And we did that stream Tuesday talking about all the different details, all the things that were coming out. It was in a Variety article, but the full article and the full interview with Kathleen Kennedy came out yesterday. Okay. And so, it's funny because I was really, really hyped up. Like, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I was super hyped up before the stream on Tuesday. As we were going through the information on Tuesday, I was like, okay, there's some good stuff here. There's some bad stuff here. And that day, Kathleen Kennedy was trending for a very negative reason, okay? And it was wild to me to watch this kind of go down. And this all had to do with the comments that she made about Alden Ehrenreich and about the Solo movie. Now, the full answer that she gave is actually better than sort of what got spread around online and sort of what was taken in the Tuesday sort of trending frenzy or whatever, right? we're going to go in there. We're going to actually read what she said. And again, I do think it is a little bit better and less damaging to the brand as, you know, what was kind of spread around there. So here's the deal, man. You know, you guys know me at this point. I am trying, and I continue to try, to be fair about these sort of things. You know, I try to see both sides. I try to objectively as possible break down this nerdy stuff and talk about what's going on. It's no secret at this point, I am not a big fan of Kathleen Kennedy. And I do think that the Star Wars brand would do better under different leadership. Okay? But we've got to try to be as fair as we possibly can and see what was actually being said and see what her actual plan is. Do you know what I mean? Yes, Jedi Jen. First of all, thanks for the 20 spot. That's way too much money, but I appreciate it. Yeah, so that's the other side of this thing, too, is that I've been calling her Reva forever, and it's not Reva, it's Reva. So, there's that. I am also working on a video that is going to go over new leaks for Kenobi, detailed leaks about basically all of the different episodes. And I know this is gonna be crazy, and some of you guys are gonna be like, "What?" But I'm kind of flipping. I'm flip flopping. I'm pulling it like I'm flip flopping like John Kerry. Because here's the deal: a lot of the stuff that's in the Kenobi leaks sounds fucking awesome. I still have a major problem with the ending, the leaked ending, but a lot of the stuff in Kenobi sounds awesome. And so I want to do a video that explains the stuff in the leaks that I'm actually really, really excited about, and basically how I'm going to try to approach Kenobi going into it. I still definitely don't like the ending. However, there's a ton of stuff that could make it better. I want to try to be fair. I want to explain all the stuff that's in there and that's going on with that too. So look out for that in a video, though, because I don't want to go into spoilers and leaks on the stream. A lot of our people don't like leaks, etc., right? So, yeah. So, we'll get into it, okay? I still have very strong feelings about that ending. Regardless, let's get into and let's talk about now the actual Kathleen Kennedy interview and the good and the bad, because, again, there's some stuff in here that's actually pretty interesting to me, some stuff in here that sounds cool, and then there's some stuff in here that's like, this is why you need to go. You know what I mean? Essentially. But that's just one nerd's opinion. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. See if I can get it here. Okay. Boom shakalaka. Okay, so this is the Reddit post for it, but I will actually get into the Vanity Fair article itself and go over a bunch of different things that are said here, okay? So there's some really interesting things about kind of Jon and Dave, okay? And she talks a lot about the process of bringing Jon in. What I found interesting about this was that she doesn't say that, like, she went to Jon to create a show. It was more like Bob Iger came to her and was like, we're thinking about streaming, you know, Disney Plus, like, what do you got, Star Wars, essentially, right? And so then she reaches out to Jon about this, not just to have, like, she didn't actually know that he had an idea for a story. She was trying to figure out if he had ideas about how to approach streaming from a technical perspective, from the perspective of release and all of that sort of stuff, okay? Now, Jon kind of hits her with, not only do I have a lot of thoughts about how to put this together, but I actually have a story idea, which was, of course, The Mandalorian. She kind of makes these two dudes sit down together. There's a lot of discussion about how, you know, they had known each other before, but they were not super tight. And now they've become incredibly tight. And there are even moments later on in the article where she mentions that with Star Wars and what she's looking for new talent to come in is a big commitment. It's a massive commitment. She needs people to be as involved as Jon and Dave have been with the projects. Like, Jon has been incredibly active in a lot of the different development and producing of Star Wars in general. And that's kind of what you're looking for, as opposed to like the Feige idea. And look, I have all kinds of thoughts about this because some of this I think is actually awesome. Some of this I think is terrible, right? But let's be fair and let's kind of go through it. So she continues to kind of talk about that. Now, this one I actually found kind of interesting. She talks about the Baby Yoda concept. And she talks about how Dave essentially was kind of against it. And he was like super, super cautious about Baby Yoda and bringing that in. I actually felt like that was kind of interesting. I hadn't actually thought that would be something that Dave would have stood up for, or that Dave would have thought was weird or whatever. But they ended up having like this really kind of big debate about it. Like it was pretty spirited or whatever. And they ended up going with it. Okay, they talk about Boba, and this is all kind of interesting because in the interview from Tuesday, I believe, Favreau talks about how you couldn't just have Boba Fett break bad, and you couldn't just continue to have Boba being the villain and all these different things. Let's kind of set all of that aside for now, because let's just say I strongly disagree with that, but I also I respect his opinion and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty interesting. Now, let's talk about this. This is where the, and by the way, let me know, how's the audio sound today? I don't have the compression on like I normally do, and I can't tell if it's doing its job or not. Are we clipping at all, or are we okay here? How are we doing on the audio? You let me know, Chad. This is where the answer that she gave comes into play. That was trending yesterday. And again, I think that it is actually a little bit better than the answer that got spread around. Okay? Sounds good? Audio is choppy. Audio is great. Sounds good. Good morning. Okay. All right. Well, one dude saying it's choppy. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. Everybody else says it sounds good. So I think we're okay. Okay. I can tell it doesn't sound incredible, though. God damn it, dude. We've been having all these technical issues since the move. It's been super frustrating. But regardless, let's get into this. You've mentioned a couple of times that Star Wars is one unified story. That's immense pressure. If Warner Brothers makes a Batman film that doesn't work, they can reboot it and do a different Batman film. But I don't think you can really say the Obi-Wan series that we made doesn't count. I think that's actually a pretty fair statement, and it's weird because that is sort of inherent to the Star Wars brand, right? Like, they don't have that ability to do that, but I would argue neither does Marvel now, because nowadays Marvel, I mean, they can create a lot of content that's not connected to the MCU, but everything that's connected to the MCU cannot just be, like, you can't just, like, act like it doesn't exist, right? It definitely exists, and that does really constrain a lot of the creative decisions and things that you would make. Okay, so her answer here is pretty interesting. She says, we also can't go do something with Luke Skywalker that isn't Mark Hamill. We're not going to suddenly go try to do that. The beauty of Obi-Wan Kenobi is Ewan desperately wanted to do this. He has been so engaged in the entire process, and our excitement and reason for doing this is that the real Obi-Wan wanted to tell this story. Okay. So let's play who can spot the lie, or not necessarily spot the lie, but who can spot where she's kind of full of shit, right? It sounds like wise, but all right, but it keeps clicking and chopping kind of rhythmically in all caps, so you see I'm not yelling. Oh, love you. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me, I'll try to adjust does that sound a little bit better? That might sound a little bit better, okay? Yeah, it was Alec Guinness. And sometimes, for some reason, I always, and Ryan, welcome to the Nerd Vengers, brother. You are a Nerd Venger now. Okay, a little bit better. Stop yelling! Okay, so obviously that is a very weird statement because Alec Guinness, who for some reason I always call Alec McGuinness. Yo, put a 1 into the chat if you've ever heard me call Alec Guinness Alec McGuinness. Why do I do that? Why am I the way that I am? Sounds worse now. I don't believe you, Mando Studios, you punk motherfucker. But maybe you're right. Okay. So. Okay. You don't say that, Omni fan. That's not fair. You don't say that. Okay. So. Let's just kind of put that aside for now because, look, she's got a lot of foot and mouth syndrome, and I'll be honest with you, there's a ton, like, I still feel the way that I feel. I feel like she should not be in charge, okay? But I'm trying to do my fucking best here to be fair, okay? I'm trying to be fair, okay? He has been so engaged in the entire process. It's the reason for doing this is that the real Obi-Wan wanted to tell this story. Such a weird thing to say. We got excited at the idea that Ewan wanted to come back and Hayden Christensen wanted to come back, okay? Ashton the Sith, welcome to the Nerdvengers. You are a Nerdvenger now. Just as fans, everybody inside the company was like, let's see if we can make this work. Deborah Chow done a beautiful job with it. And again, it's a singular vision. She's directed all 6 episodes, so it has a consistent feel and style to it, okay? I don't want to put you in an awkward spot. Yeah, you do. But was this an understanding you've come to that was developed from Solo? I don't want to trash Alden. I think he did a good job. But the idea that you can't really replace Luke Skywalker, was that something you learned from that movie? Or how would you put it? So this is interesting. This is a long answer. Okay, so can we respect the fact that she gave a thorough answer? Even if you don't like it, she gave a thorough answer. And the bit that was cut out and published on Tuesday was a small portion of that. So at the very least, if we're trying to be charitable, Kathy trended for a part of the answer that she gave a more complete answer to. Now, I still kind of come around to the fact that that's Kathy's fault, and it's actually a calamity of different errors over the past couple of years. There's like zero charitability left for her in the eyes of a lot of fans. And so it's still a bed that she made. But let's be fair, okay? Maybe, as you say it, Anthony, maybe. I think back, and Solo was one of the first ideas that came up when the company was sold. One of the first people I went to was screenwriter Larry Kasdan. Now, let's stop for a second here. The reason Solo was one of the main movies that they went after is because that's what George wanted. George absolutely loves... He absolutely loves Han Solo. Loves Han Solo. And so he wanted them to make a young Han Solo film. That was George's idea. She doesn't say that here, but that is pretty well documented. Larry and I have known each other forever. He was so excited to tell the story. We genuinely believed at the time it was a good idea. So yeah, there should be moments along the way when you learn things. That may have certainly been a learning moment. Some people have talked about how, well, maybe Solo should have been a TV show. But even doing Solo as a TV show without Harrison Ford as Han Solo, it's the same thinking. Maybe I should have recognized this before. We would have never made Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. Having just finished the 5th film, I can tell you there wasn't a day I wasn't on set where I was like, yes, this is Indiana Jones. Maybe I'm closer to the DNA of Indy and always have been than I was when I came into Star Wars. We should stop for a second and we should acknowledge that this might be one of the most real-ass things that she's ever said, and it's also kind of part of the problem. A problem, by the way, that could be corrected without her complete departure. If she had identified this a little bit earlier and perhaps elevated Dave Filoni faster, I think we maybe would have mitigated a lot of the problems, the issues that now surround Kathleen Kennedy in a very negative PR stance. And again, I don't know why I feel like I have to keep it like making this abundantly clear. I still have all of the same problems I have with Kathy. I'm simply trying to be fair here. She says I'm closer to the DNA of Indy and always have been than I was when I came into Star Wars. Yeah, it's true. She doesn't get Star Wars the same way she gets Indiana Jones. Totally fair. Because now it does seem so abundantly clear we can't do that. You get excited about these things and you want to revisit things you want. You want to have that feeling again. And you're trying to resurrect that. I think that's what we do even with our new characters. With Star Wars, everybody talks about the feeling they have about Star Wars. That's an intangible idea that you're looking for. So, you tell me, chat, okay? You tell me. Is this not a more complete and better answer than the one that trended on Tuesday? You let me know, yes or no. Do you think that this is a much better answer than the one that got clipped out and got spread around? It's to me a way better answer. However, it kind of shows, and this is really one of my problems with Kathy, is that she's really not good at thinking on her feet. She's really not good at like boilerplating. She's really not good at shifting. She's not good in these interviews when these kind of situations come up, because this is just not an answer that's protective of, well, frankly, herself, protective of Alden, and protective of the brand. You know what I mean? Like, for all the sort of weird boilerplating that Feige does, he does at least keep a constant shield up to his own brand and to the MCU brand. Okay? So it's another kind of way that she falls short, in my opinion, because you leave too much up for interpretation here, and you sort of allow the perception that was created on Tuesday to exist. So ultimately, I kind of come back to the point where I'm like, yo, it's still her fault. But to be fair, she gave a better answer than I think was spread around, okay? So take that for what you will, okay? This one was kind of interesting. And again, I think it's another one of those examples where she has that foot and mouth thing going on here. She's talking about how Obi-Wan, there was originally a plan for Rey to be Obi-Wan's daughter. And I think what she says here is kind of interesting. She says the bigger issue is talking about Obi-Wan as a master Jedi and the issue of attachment and selfishness. In order for Obi-Wan to have a child, you are really, really impacting the rules around the Jedi. Pause, and I can't help it. It just cracks me up that she's talking about the rules of the Jedi. Anyway, let's keep going on. What does that mean? If that were explored, and certainly there were a lot of ideas being thrown around, but anything to do with Obi-Wan in that regard was pretty much off the table because it flies in the face of everything George created in the mythology. You know, let's just kind of stop for a second and ask the class, because I want to be as interactive as I can. Do you guys agree with this? I guess the question is, does Obi-Wan having a child fly in the face of everything George created in the mythology? Do you agree? Let's go to Poll Town. Fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling. And by bowling, I mean polling. Where's Mike Porter at? Does he not? How do I do on that dad joke? Do you agree that Obi-Wan having a child, and then I'm just going to literally copy paste this. Do a little copy pasta here. Your question is too long. God damn it. It's only 5. Let me see here. Maybe, do you agree? Okay, we got there. Oh, God damn it. Hey, we got there. Okay, boom. There it is. What do you think? What do you think, chat? We got a loose hair. We got a loose hair on the run. I think we got it. Hair's getting crazy long and curly right now. What do you think? So it's pretty split so far. 54% of you say no, which means about half of you feel like yes. I have a hair appointment on Friday, John January. Got a hair appointment on Friday, okay? Sheesh. All right, take care, brother. Cole Maynard, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. You are a Nerd Venger now. Make your way around the tower. Feel the power flow all around. Obi had to have gotten laid. I mean, he had some swagger, that's for sure. Shave that dome Friday? The fuck? Okay. So, it's kind of interesting, man. Like, I tend to disagree with this as like a thing, but she says here, like, we're not rigid about it. It's certainly open for discussion all the time, but it's a pretty significant tenet in the mythology of the Jedi that we'd be reluctant to mess with. So the problem with this, I think, is that it feels like they're pretty much up for messing with all of it. From an outsider's perspective, it feels like to me like they're down to mess with all of it. And so this answer feels a little bit bad because they're kind of saying like it's very wishy-washy. Again, a lot of my issue with this interview and with Kathy in general is that from a public relations perspective, she's just not strong. She's not strong. Like, the answer's really wishy-washy. It's like she's kind of giving you an explanation as to why they didn't do it, but then saying we're not rigid about it. It's weird. You know what I mean? It's weird. Like, yeah, so I kind of wanted to just touch on that. We are going to get, by the way, into the future stuff because that's really where the juice is and where a lot of my anticipation and excitement comes from. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in here, okay? So this question is really interesting. How important is it to get outside the gravity of the Skywalker saga? Moving beyond the characters we know, how vital is it to open up those new realms? Okay? I love this answer. I think it is vital. Just staying within the construct of George's storytelling to keep chipping away at that, I think, would be wrong. Slow clap for Kathy. First thing she said that I'm like, yes, I absolutely agree with. And I know, and by the way, Matt Fawcett, welcome to the Nerd Vengers, my friend. Brandon Russell, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. Great to see so many new members. Appreciate you guys. This is something that Theory and I had a discussion about on Monday. I felt like it was a good discussion. I think he and I feel a little bit differently about this. I am big time leaning into the camp of like, get the fuck away from George's stuff and do your own thing, okay? I'm big time in that camp. I'm really sick of it. As much as I love these characters, these moments, this lore, we can't keep going back in between these pre-established stories. You can't just keep going back. At some point, you got to take a leap. At some point, you gotta take a leap. But let's read on. It's our job to step away now, but still have connection to the mythology that George created. That won't stop. But we are moving on from the Skywalker saga. That's what's taking a lot of time, discussion, and thought right now. Okay, so interesting. Let's talk about this. Because I've heard conflicting things, right? I did the big scoop about how I think you're going to get in episode 10, 11, and 12. And maybe you still will. Oh my gosh, the hair. And maybe you still will. Goddamn curly hair. But I also wouldn't be mad if we didn't. Okay? Now, what I can tell you is this. I think that there is active development on ideas on how they could continue the story with the sequel trilogy characters. But there's always ideas circulating around Lucasfilm. They could very easily abandon that. Okay? And I love this statement here. Don't know how true it is or whatever, but I like that she's saying it and that she's saying that's what's taking a lot of time, discussion, and thought right now. And now we're really going to start to get into some of the juice, man. Now we're really going to start to get into the juice. A warning, Not all of this I love, but it is interesting. Is publishing the test kitchen for some of these new ideas? Okay, trigger warning for EU fans. Trigger warning for Legends fans. And also, let me zoom in on this. You guys can like barely even see this shit. Is that better? There we go. Oh, what the hell? The fine? The fine? The fine? The fine? Okay, here we go. Trigger warning. Is publishing the test kitchen for some of these new eras? It is. That's something we put into motion about 5 years ago because we don't have the benefit of just pulling a book off the shelf. I'll be right back. God damn it, Kathy! Why? No! Okay. So, who wants to explain to the class why this is a bad answer? Who wants to explain to the class why this is not what you say? Oh yeah, I should have grabbed a book. I'd have to go all the way out into the living room, but I could absolutely grab you a Legends book. Yeah, because first of all, as Chase is pointing out, you literally can do that. And you have like 40 years of books. You know what I mean? And incredible stories and great writers. It is such a weird answer. It's such a weird thing for her to say. It's like, look, she said this, I think, it was either last year or a year before. And it was stupid then and it's stupid now. And I think the real problem is that it seems like she didn't understand that it was stupid then. Like, frankly, what are you talking about? You know? And that's just... Again, you know, I'm trying to be fair here because there's some stuff she talks about that actually is pretty interesting and I think it's okay. But, like, that is a very bad answer. That is a very bad answer. Like, you're telling me you're not even going to acknowledge Legends? Meanwhile, Dave and John and probably every person that comes in to make stories has a love and an admiration for different Legends elements. You're literally about to do Grand Admiral Thrawn in live action. Where do you think he came from, Kathy? Like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like, that's such a horrible answer. Anyway, let's move on. And adapting it. As we look at where Star Wars is going, we don't just assume it's only going to be on television and in movie theaters. That's another evolution we're having a lot of conversation about. Now, when I read that, I was like, what now? Who now? What now? What was that then? What did you just say? As we look at where Star Wars is going, we don't just assume it's only going to be on television and in movie theaters. What now? That's another evolution we're having a lot of conversation about. Where else could it be? Virtual reality? Listen to what she says here. It could. I think it's beyond just VR. Think of some of the things Epic Games is doing with Fortnite. The ability to immerse people in stories, building avatars around your character that could actually participate in some way. We talk so much about the movie experience being something that is a community. You get to hear people interact, you get to hear them laugh, you get to hear them cheer. Well, in the future, you're going to have that opportunity to experience that feeling and that interaction virtually. That may not be ideal to a lot of people, but there's no question that's where it's going. So, what does that mean for us as storytellers, since we work so far ahead of what the audience interacts with? We have to be thinking about these things. Interesting. Look, say what you say and feel how you feel, but that's a damn interesting answer. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. Oh, yeah, and if you're asking about the metaverse, yeah, she actually does say it. So let's keep going. It'll be interesting to follow along with that as the years go by. It's right on the horizon. We're already having conversations around what we're going to experiment with regarding immersive technology. I know everybody kicks around the word metaverse, but in a funny way, George created Star Wars as a part of the metaverse a long time ago. Full stop. Full stop. What the fuck? I tell you, I did not expect Kathleen Kennedy to be talking about the metaverse and how Star Wars was created as a part of the metaverse a long, long time ago. Okay. So, I would like to know, and we got to go back to Pole Town, USA. Yeah. Watch all the people that have been just trying to defend Kathy the whole time, but hate NFTs and metaverse stuff. Watch them flip. Watch the flip-flop that's about to happen in chat right now. Just watch it, bro. Here we go. Ah, shit. Watch all these people that have been like, you're cherry-picking everything she says, and now they're like, no! Oh, I love it. Internet, you never fail. You never fail. You never fail to entertain. You know? Okay. Kennedy's Star Wars metaverse comments. How you feeling? Positive or negative? Let's see. Let's see where the class is at. Oh, internet. This is where the fun begins. I know, right? Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, it's a fun job. It's a fun job to mess with you guys. Sometimes it gets to me. I'm not going to lie. Oh, yes, Alfonso. And by the way, Alfonso, just on a total side note, I really admire your consistency on Twitter and just trying to say your side of an argument while still being very positive and understanding. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I wish more people were like you in that regard, for sure. Yeah. Let us see. So 63% of people are negative on the metaverse comments for Kathy in Star Wars. Okay. Hey, take care, Patrick. Appreciate you. I'm not surprised. I will say I'm not surprised at that poll result. Obviously, I feel very differently about this. I am pretty bullish on NFTs. I am pretty bullish on the metaverse. I absolutely think, as many people in the space does, that this is 100% where everything is going. But I also find it to be kind of hilarious that Kathy is essentially talking about this at a time when the PR about this is at probably an all-time high of negativity. You know, NFT projects are collapsing around the world. Metaverse, goobly glob, pump and dump ideas have left many people holding the bag and a lot more people pissed off. Okay? I want to build a metaverse. I want to build an NFT project. I literally delayed it till next year. I might delay it further because the sentiment right now, the public sentiment is horrible, dude. It's horrible. Okay? So how can I see that? Just Joe Schmo fucking making a nerdy content and shit. You know what I mean? How can I see that and she doesn't? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm actually 100% on board with what she's thinking. You know, that idea. And by the way, too, even though it's not in this in this magazine, I will tell you that I believe Jon Favreau, being the technologist that he is, being sort of the future-sighted person that he is absolutely focused on metaverse stuff and Star Wars in the metaverse. I wouldn't be surprised if you got an announcement at Celebration next weekend, something to do with Star Wars metaverse ideas, them laying the groundwork for that, and Jon being at the forefront of that. Jon name drops blockchain in the second season of The Mandalorian. The chain code that Boba pulls up about his armor, that is literally NFT technology that he put into that story because he feels probably similar to I and many other folks out there that see this as an absolute inevitability for technology, for the way we interact with our stories. 100%. I'm all on board. But I'm also not talking about it a lot right now because I understand that the vitriol out there is at an all-time high. Too many bad actors came into the space. Too many people came into the space and tarnished it for a lot of different folks. It's going to take time. It's going to take time to get to there. Do you know what I mean? But nonetheless, I find myself pretty intrigued by that prospect. Okay? Let's just leave it there. Table it for now. Because Star Wars fans surround themselves with this thing they love. If you can live a part of that all the time, how do we enrich that? That's what the fans want. You want to enter this world, whatever it is that interests you, and feel that investment of time is worthwhile. Totally fair. Now, let's move on. And let's talk about the future of the storytelling classic, the movies. Have you all ever heard of movies? Have you all ever did you guys ever remember when Star Wars made movies? Put a one into the chat if you remember when Star Wars made movies. Do you? Do you remember? It's been a while, huh? Okay. Can we touch upon storytelling classic, the movies? I know about Taika Waititi's untitled film written by Krysty Wilson-Cairns, and Patty Jenkins is doing Rogue Squadron. Do you have a roadmap for features, or are you still developing that? And before we go any further here, let's also make a couple of things clear. This is going to help. This interview, from what I understand, was conducted in March. Okay? So it's a little bit out of date as to, well, I'll explain what I think it's out of date about. And also, second part of this, next weekend is Celebration. Next weekend, by the way, like I'm not planning anything next weekend. Like no fun tournament stuff, no dates, no couples dates, no extravagant dinners, no video game sessions. I'm not planning nothing. I'm going to be strapped in. I'm going to be ready to go, and I'm going to be in the tower either streaming or making videos about all of the stuff that comes out for Star Wars Celebration. So make sure you're checking out this channel. Make sure you're checking out the regular Den of Nerds channel. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff to get into, okay? So let's just kind of try to consider that this is an older interview, outdated by at least a couple of months, and the new version and the clear-cut version of what they're actually going to do, hopefully, will be spelled out next weekend. Okay? Put a 1 into the chat if that barely made any sense. Okay. We have a roadmap, she says. I would say that Taika's story fits more specifically into that. Rogue Squadron, we kind of pushed off to the side for the moment. Patty is developing the script further, meaning I didn't really like what she was doing. Then we will talk about how that connects to the central spine that we're working on. I like that phrasing, central spine, that we're working on. There's a couple of filmmakers that we've been in conversation with over quite a long period of time that I'm hoping will come in and make the overall commitment that Jon and Dave have made. That's ideally what I would love to see happen in the feature space. Okay. A lot of stuff to get into on this answer. So first of all, they have a roadmap. So they have a plan. And I think that if you sort of read into what she's saying, earlier on she's talking about how that's something they've been really, really working on. The roadmap, I think, does get out from under the George Lucas canon. I find it really interesting that she says Taika's story fits more specifically into that. I'm not sure what to make of that. You know? I'm not sure what to make of that. Now, she's talking about how Patty's stuff is going off to the side. What this likely indicates is that you are not getting Rogue Squadron anytime soon. A lot of the reports that there was a lot of problems between, Kathy and Patty, and they couldn't quite work that out. Those reports appear to be true, but they still seem to both be committed to making that movie eventually, right? She says, we'll talk about how that connects to the central spine of what we're working on. So let's talk about Taika's movie. The only indication that we have about Taika's movie is the artwork that was put on screen when they've talked about this a couple of different times. Now, there's Old Republic stuff going on in that artwork. First of all, even the sort of imagery and the sort of stone Star Wars logo, it evokes a feeling of old, ancient, Schoolhouse Rock a little bit too. It sort of evokes those kind of feelings. On top of that, you see that triangular shape ship. Brian, welcome back to the Nerd Ventures. I forget what it's called, but it's from the Jedi stories, right? It's from the Origin of the Jedi, where they all go to Tython. They're all teleported there. There's different Force users, et cetera, right? And she says there's a couple of filmmakers that we've been in conversation with over quite a long period of time that I'm hoping will come in and make the overall commitment that Jon and Dave had. You know who I think she's talking about? I think she's talking about Dan and Dave. I think she's talking about the Star Wars, or rather the Game of Thrones dudes. Okay? Because when she was working with Dan and Dave on the development of a series of films, when that breakup happened, which, by the way, to my knowledge, I don't think Dan and Dave have made anything for Netflix yet. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Have Dan and Dave done anything for Netflix yet? Yeah, Benioff and Weiss, yeah. Have they? Boo, those men. Yeah, I'm not super pumped about those guys either, but let's just keep going. Yep. Mm-hmm. So they haven't made shit for, right on, Captain Pennsylvania. Appreciate you, bro. Good to see you. So yeah, I don't think they've made anything for Netflix yet, which is weird. What's the deal with that? You know what I mean? So perhaps they've developed a bunch of stuff and they're just going to pass it off now. And maybe now they're open, a little bit more available for Star Wars. I'm going to be real. I really don't want those two dudes to be doing Star Wars. The end of Game of Thrones to me is atrocious. And I think in some weird way, Star Wars actually dodged a bullet by not having them available. Okay. Chef show. What the hell is that? So they're doing a chef show? That's weird. So regardless, I think that's probably who she's talking about, because when she parted ways with them, she even said, we hope that they can come back. She literally said it, right? And so let's put our sort of disdain for Dan and Dave off to the side for a second. If Taika's movie is old and Taika's movie more intrinsically fits into what their plan is, right? That's what she's saying, right? Then maybe all those old rumors of the Old Republic movies, of all of the old, they were going to do a series of Old Republic movies. Maybe that's what it is. Now, there was even debate of like, is it Old Republic? Is it High Republic? What the hell's going on? Blah, blah, blah. It's very possible that she's trying to still do that idea that she had a long time ago, and now maybe it's a little bit more viable, okay? So, again, maybe we'll get some clarification on this at Celebration next week. But it does kind of seem like what she's saying is that this plan that they have could very well be going into the far past of Star Wars rather than the far future. I'm okay with that. It's not my first choice. Like, I would much rather have it be in the way future, like get past all of it, in my opinion. But it is fair that I think an Old Republic series of movies, or going back to that era for Star Wars, I think would be good for the brand, would reinvigorate a lot of people's imagination and interest in these projects, okay? If it's not Dan and Dave, and she's likely also talking about to other different creators, right? I'm actually kind of down with what she says when she's saying, like, we need a big commitment from y'all. And I think that's fair, dude, because I think Star Wars requires that kind of dedication, and the commitment that Jon and Dave have made, if shared by other brilliant creators out there, I'm down. Okay? So, let's keep going on here. Are you talking about a commitment to make, say, 3 movies, or are you talking about an even bigger commitment of shepherding phases of films in the way that Kevin Feige does with Marvel? Now, her answer here is pretty good. She says, I wouldn't go so far. Kevin is an anomaly. 100% agree. An amazing one. But the goal is definitely having somebody make more of a commitment. I hesitate to use the word trilogies anymore because Star Wars is much more about persistent storytelling. I mean, what do you guys think she even means when she says that? Persistent storytelling. Like, what do you think that means? You know what I mean? Like, y'all let me know. Like, what do you think that means? In the chat. Galen Merrick says, I'm too high. Wait, what? Get a bowl of cereal. Grab yourself some milk or whatever. MCU copying Marvel. It means they won't do trilogies. Well, thanks for that. Yeah. I don't know. I need more clarification. Yeah. I think it means connective tissue. Interesting. Star Wars Santa. It means she realizes they fucked up by not having a full vision of the sequels. That's fair. That's fair. She drunk? Maybe. Yeah. Not locking onto one set way of telling a story. It means more flexibility. I don't really get that out of it, Stevie. Yeah, persistent storytelling. To me, I think Santa's probably, spot on with the connective tissue and with... kind of persistently telling Star Wars story, like not thinking in terms of trilogies, but being very open to all of the connection that all of these different stories can have is probably what it means. But yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Rian Johnson and the answer she gives here. One of the enduring questions that fans have is about Rian Johnson and his future with Star Wars. Is there anything you can tell me about that? I know it's been said that the trilogy is still on, but it's been so many years since it was announced. Is that still the case? Can we resolve what's going on with his idea? So she says here, Rian has been unbelievably busy with Knives Out and the deal that he made at Netflix for multiple movies. I've had meetings with Rian. He's somebody that's come in as a part of our little brain trust discussions along the way. He remains very committed to what it is we're trying to do. he just literally hasn't had the time to devote. That's what I'm saying. Anyone who comes into the Star Wars universe needs to know that it's a 3, 4, 5-year commitment. That's what it takes. You can't step in for a year and shoot something and then walk away. It just doesn't work that way. So it requires that kind of nurturing. Okay. Again, I'm trying to be fair here, but this answer is bullshit. Because there is no goddamn way Ryan would sign the deal he signed with Netflix without first knowing that his trilogy was not moving forward, at least not in the immediate future. What she is saying here is total bullshit. I'm just going to say it. And look, producers lie, presidents lie, actors lie, people in Hollywood lie. I'm not necessarily getting on her for just specifically lying, but this is the same type of lie that she seems to make a lot, which is basically trying to dodge responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not a good answer. Like, he's been unbelievably busy with Knives Out and the deal he made at Netflix for multiple movies. That's crazy, dude. Like, there's no way. There's no way that's true. Yeah, she's basically trying to not admit that they did anything wrong with The Last Jedi. She's basically trying to admit they did nothing wrong by greenlighting a whole trilogy with a dude who they gave the most important sequel to ever, writer and director credit, without really knowing what the fuck he'd do or how people would respond to it. It's her not wanting to admit that they don't know if they can ever do Ryan's trilogy again because of the brand damage that TLJ did. It's a bad answer. Okay? It's a bad answer. But let's move on. I mentioned Kevin Feige before, and I know it's been reported he's producing something for you. Can you tell me about that? That's the rumor mill? Bro, it ain't the fucking rumor mill. Lady, you had him on the Star Wars show. You announced he was making the film. It's not the rumor mill. Holy shit. Okay. Kevin, I think everybody knows, is a huge Star Wars fan. He's clearly been inspired by Star Wars in the way in which he's handled Marvel. I know he's got a lot on his plate right now. I would love to see at some point what movie he might come up with, but right now, no. There isn't anything specifically on the horizon. Now, this is an important update. This interview with Kennedy was in March. And last week, screenwriter Michael Waldron told Variety he was working on a script for the rumored Feige project. What the fuck, dude? Like, come on, man. I'm trying here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm fucking trying. I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can to this lady. What kind of answer is this? What is going on? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, holy shit. Holy shit. That's the rumor mill? Bitch, he just told Variety last week that he's working on the script for his project. That is fucking crazy to me. Rumor mill kind of answer. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. Okay. Let's stop there. Let's stop there. I can't watch anymore. Okay. So what does this mean? Okay. What does this mean? To me, it means... Okay, let's talk positives. Let's talk positives first. Positives. There is a plan. Positives. They are making creators make a big commitment. So they can't just come in and dip. Super positive. Jon and Dave, heavily involved in what's going on. Positive. This was an interview months ago. New updates have happened, and we'll likely get more clarity next week. Positive. Negative. Kathy. Like, I'm sorry. I just don't know how else to say it. I'm trying to be as charitable as I fucking can. This is not a person that should be at the forefront of your public relations with the fandom, which is an important part of being president of a big company that handles massive IP like Star Wars. Like, I'm just being honest. Not good. Now, having said that, here's the other side, here's the other shoe, okay? Kathy has the opportunity next week to prove me and many of her retractors wrong and to give us way more clarity on all of this. So we must, I think if we're being responsible, withhold total and complete judgment until next weekend. And here's the deal, man. I love Star Wars. I really just, I love entertainment. I love nerdy things. There's a lot that I think is good in here. There's some stuff that is obviously bad that I'm not really happy about. But overall, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. There's a plan. Taika's movie, heavily involved with it. You know, all that sort of stuff, right? Next weekend, to me, is a real make or break moment for Star Wars as a brand. We've had next to nothing out there. This interview, like you might say, oh, well, why are you scouring this interview? Why are you picking apart this interview? Because it's the only shit we have. They don't fucking announce anything. They don't talk about anything. This is all we have is the big Variety article, which, by the way, they could have edited. This is the other thing that's fucking bananas to me about Kathy and her relationship with the Hollywood trades. This is Anthony sucking on the tea to Hollywood royalty Bresnikan. You're telling me that Kathy couldn't have got these questions or these answers or adjusted anything that was in this interview, given updates, had a different team go over it or whatever. It's ridiculous, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. So, we'll see next week. Won't we? And I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Maybe some of you guys don't think so. Maybe you think I'm just trying to shit on it. Maybe you think whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I'm trying as best I can to be as positive and as open-minded as I can be about where Star Wars is at, what the president and the leader of the company is saying to the fans, and a lot of it hangs on what's going to happen next week, okay? So, that's the best I can do. I'm trying to be fair here. Okay? It's the best I can do. Now, let's get into the Q's and the A's. I'm sure you guys got some thoughts. I will also say there's a ton of really wild stories out there. Like, I did kind of want to get into... In fact, let's do it. Let's just do at least this one before we get into the Q&A. One little thing I want to talk about with you guys. Did you guys see the report that the estate of Stan Lee has signed some kind of contract or come to some kind of agreement with Marvel that now Marvel has the ability to recreate Stan Lee digitally in a lot of their movies and in a lot of their things moving forward? Did you guys see that? Put a 1 into the chat if you saw that. Yeah. Yeah. Should we go to Poll Town? Should we see how y'all feel about that? Stan Lee, digital cameos. Are you in? Boom. The rumor mill. My God. Okay. Let's see what you think. Let's see what you think. Mm-hmm. Wow, pretty split. pretty split. Okay, so first of all, I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot fucking toot. I told y'all this was coming. Okay? And I told y'all this was probably going to be a thing that happens. I have sort of mixed feelings on it as well. Generally speaking, I think it's probably inevitable. I do wish that Stan himself would have had the opportunity to see this coming and give either his blessing or say no. And I think that in a world where this is more sort of out there as an option for these actors or these performers, if they have the knowledge of this technology and they sign off on it and give their blessing, that's going to feel better for the fans, and probably I'll be really okay with it. But as it stands, this one's a little weird. You know, Stan didn't sign up for this. You know what I mean? Stan didn't say this was what he wanted. Now, his family and his estate, if they think that this would have been something that he would have wanted to do, which, if I'm being honest, I do kind of think that Stan would be cool with it, then, again, I'm probably a little bit more okay with it, right? So, definitely a weird news story, and it'll be really interesting to see, like, how do they utilize this? You know what I mean? Like, how do they utilize this? Where is it going to show up and all that? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's a real mixed bag. But I think that, you know, something else that's going on here, and not to get all metaversey on you guys again, but we are at a certain kind of we're at a pivot point. We're at the cusp of, like, all this crazy new technology. Like, things are changing, bro, and they're changing fast, right? So, yeah, do with that what you will, but I definitely wanted to talk about it. It seems pretty split. Look at this. 54% of you are saying you're in for cameos. But it's about 50-50. You know what I mean? It's about 50-50. It's pretty wild. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the Q&A. By the way, what do you think? What do you think? Was that a pretty fair breakdown there? You let me know. I felt like that was pretty good content. I felt like we did pretty good there. Again, I don't want to toot my own horn. I thought it was pretty good. I felt like we did pretty good there. What do you think? Did we do good? Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, thanks. Oh, you guys. Okay, let's get into the Q&A, man. T-Love, a.k.a. the Silver Lurker, says with a $5 holla, says, stop telling me to like the video. Every time you do, I lose a sale on a yacht. Damn. Okay. Well, how about this? Can I just make an exception for you? Where, like, I'm going to tell everybody to like the video, but, like, we can just kind of have an unspoken agreement that I'm not talking about you. Is that cool? Jedi Jen, again, thank you so much for the 20 spot. Says, can we talk about how shook I am after watching a Vanity Fair video where Moses Ingram says her character name Reva, that rhymes with Reba, and not the way everyone has pronounced it? Much love, take my money. Yes. Look, let me just say this. I think Lucasfilm has set Moses Ingram up not for success. And there's even interviews where she's literally saying, like, she was not into Star Wars before this. Now, is that automatically mean that you were a bad choice? No. But you start to compile all of these different things. Like, I literally think the studio set Moses Ingram up. Like, if she has a bad time, I think that some of, if not a lot of the blame actually falls back to Lucasfilm. Anyway, Kendall says, in Reva's interview talking about the role, she knows what comes with joining Star Wars. If Star Wars fans keep this up, will big actors stray from Star Wars? Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, look, that is a big part of it, and yes, it does come with that, and I think that it will probably make big actors not want to do it. But at the same time, I still think, like I just kind of said, and you kind of follow it up here, it says not to blame fans because the content is to blame too. I do think it's partially the fans. Star Wars fans are notoriously vocal, you know, and have not always been kind. That is absolutely our sin our cross to bear as Star Wars fans. Something we should try to do better with, right? But at the same time, you created this brand new character. You cast Moses. You put her out there for all the interviews. I think in some way, and you wrote her the way that she's going to be in the show. I think in some ways they did not set her up to have a good time. Look, Kamal Nanjiani's character is about to be loved. Like, from everything I've heard about that shit, like, yo, people are going to like Kamal. You know what I mean? What's Ice Cube's son? People are going to like him. I don't know if people are going to walk away liking Moses' character, right? So it's like, it's weird to me, man. It's weird to me. MCU Drew says tons of rumors going around of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters being in Secret Invasion. The dream is still alive. Okay, get back to your star snores now. Yeah, maybe, huh? And then I saw that there was a very cool video or a little tease with the Luke Cage guy and Kristen Ritter talking, possibly teasing out that they will come back as those two characters in the MCU. It would be cool. Victor Gamora says, yo, Josh, do you know by any chance if Susan is single? Oh, yeah, dude. She's single and ready to mingle. Go shoot your shot. Inked Vader 81 says, check your Discord. Let's sling you to work soon. Oh, dope, bro. Okay, cool. I will definitely check that out. And I know there's a ton of people still waiting on me to get back to them on stuff. I apologize, man. Just been busy. Lorgasm says, Jedi can smash, just no attachments. Absolutely. Rail Avaros. Great example of that. Braden says, if Obi was going to have a kid, it damn well better have been with Satine. Yeah, and it absolutely could have been with Satine, right? Would have been interesting. And then you followed up and says, heads up, I'm ready to help Theory by doing my part to get us to 30K. No. No! No! We're not doing that. Mike Haas says with a $10 holla, Legends, Luke's new Jedi Temple, promoted family. And Luke felt that it was a mistake that the original order made. Legends was under Lucas, and he involved the Jedi through the novels. Legends, not canon, but. Yeah, I agree, man. I absolutely agree. And, again, it's foot and mouth syndrome. I mean, she even admits in the interview she doesn't really know Star Wars like that. It's not the best. You know what I mean? It's not the best. Braden says, can't pull a book off the shelf, KK. 3-word solution. Darth Bane trilogy. I know, bro. I know. It's tough. It's tough, man. Nathan says, but the children love the books. I know, bro. Trust me. Trust me. I got big problems with it, too. Benjamin says, think Star Wars Galaxy's video game from back in the day meets Elder Scrolls open world meets VR meets Metaverse. I know. To me, man, I'll just say it. Like, I'm here for it, bro. Like, I'm absolutely here for it. I know there's all the, discontent and all that. And by the way, some of it's merited. I mean, come on, man. Some of the shit was ridiculous, what just happened, right? But I am very bullish on the concept of the metaverse. I want to build a metaverse. I think that actually in the back half of my life, I'll still be making content, but like Nerdventures Tower will be in if not many, different metaverses. And I think I will create worlds in metaverses. Like that's what I think I'll be doing in the back half of my life. Like I'm very much into that space. But at the same time, it's just kind of slightly ironic and funny that Kathy mentions it at a time when sentiment is probably at its lowest and people are mad, bro. So it's just like another, it's just not on it, man. You know what I mean? Brad Moore says, somebody's found a new line item for revenue. Yes, it is possible that is the case. And you can feel about that how you feel, Jonathan Stanton says, had some extra money and wanted to support. Love listening to your streams with my bro and laughing our butts off. Praying this $5 goes far. God bless. Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That is sweet. Star Wars Santa. What's up, brother? $10. Appreciate that. Says, excellent show today, Josh. Really enjoying you going through this article with us. Here's hoping that you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. Well, thank you, Santa. I really appreciate that, man. And, yeah, I just appreciate it. I know that my coverage of the ending and the leaks did cause a sort of kerfuffle in the fandom. I feel weird about that, but at the same time, I do feel how I feel about the ending. I'm going to try to do another video that breaks down new stuff in the leaks that I'm actually quite keen on, and I think I'm going to have a good time with Kenobi. Kenobi may be a show that I'm like, I love it, but that ending, though, you know? And I might just have to react to it that way. We shall see. Either way, I appreciate the support, man. Jonathan Stanton says, wanted clarify audio problem. There's this rhythmic clicking where the audio cuts for a second. Weird. This is a problem for some and not others. Much love. That is weird. I'm actually going to look into that. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I'll look into it, man. Big Stevie says, don't worry, Josh. Kenobi will slap and the ending will be amazeballs. This is the way. I mean, maybe. There's plenty of stuff that I think is going to be awesome in the show. So I'm gonna go into it with a really open mind, you know? Sozen's comment says, you were joking, but I think you're right. At Celebration, Dave just needs to go full-on WWE, snatch the mic out of Kathy's hands, and say, I am the captain now. Bro, I would freak out. I would freak out in a good way, bro, if that shit happened. And, again, I'm trying to be fair here, bro, but, like, I really do think someone else just needs to take over. She's probably not even that bad at, like, a lot of the job that she does. But when it comes to, like, speaking and trying to unify the fan base, holy shit, dude. I know that people take her comments unfairly, but I think that a lot of the ill will that frames even the perception of her current comments is her own fault. But it is what it is. Tyler says, do you think Kathy will be as involved with the future of Star Wars as she was with the sequels? Do you think they are shaping the rebellion to questily retcon and separate certain projects? Thanks. No, Tyler, I don't think so. And then you know what the truth is? Kathy's only involved insofar as, like, from a producer perspective, right? You know the big difference between Kathy and somebody like Kevin is that Kathy doesn't have vision for what Star Wars should be. She's trying to, as a producer, identify people that have vision, and she's identifying people that come in and do their thing. She has a general sense of what Star Wars should feel like, and I think that one of the best examples of this is Rogue One. Rogue One is a very good Star Wars movie, and we must give Kathy credit for that because she brings in Tony Gilroy to help shape it up, right? And I think it's fantastic. She could tell it just didn't feel like Star Wars before, and I give her props for that. The problem is Kevin has the ability to, on a macro and on a micro, understand where the MCU is going to connect with the audience and where it's not going to connect with the audience. He has the ability to help craft an individual project to be very good while also fitting into an overall vision that he has. Kathy doesn't have a vision for Star Wars. She's trying to buy one. You know what I mean? She's trying to get one. So, yeah, it's a different thing. Joey says, Lucasfilm gets high on their own farts. Kathleen's blind ignorance toward the fan base is at a boiling point. And if they let us down on Kenobi, it will be the final straw. Yeah, Joey, I got to tell you, I'm nervous for how the Star Wars community will react to Kenobi. And we will just see, brother. But I tell you, it's never, like, I know we say this, like, all the time. But, like, bro, next weekend is, like, a real make-or-break moment, dude. Like next week's crazy. Like, you've got 2 episodes of Kenobi and you've got Celebration. We better walk out of that weekend feeling better than we do right now. And if we don't, is that not on them? Like, holy shit. Braden says, Moses Ingram is their scapegoat. If Kenobi bombs, then KK and Lucasfilm can sidestep the blow by saying that the fans are just racist. I agree with that, actually. I know not everybody agrees with that, but I think it's actually fair. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, like, you know, why do you get this way about, you know, characters that are introduced for the sake of representation? By the way, I have a very big video coming out about the Marvel Phase 4 criticisms. And I go really into depth about, like, why do some people feel this way, that way, second and the third, right? When it comes to characters like this, I always say that the studio, in a lot of ways these days, is not setting these characters up for success, right? And I think it's weird that a character like Reva could be put into the show almost as kind of an out, a deflection, where they could just say, oh, well, people don't like it because, she's black and there's a ton of people that just don't like that. And it's like the most weaselly way to try to like get out of the criticism. If she doesn't work as a character, it'll have nothing to do with the fact that she's black. Do you know what I mean? It'll have to do with the fact that you wrote and crafted this character in a very poor way. It's just like, I know that's like a really sensitive, like weird thing for people to kind of talk about or agree with, but I do tend to think that a lot of these studios put, let's call it maybe diverse characters in a really awkward spot. You know what I mean? And it's just like they're not actually setting these characters up for success. Did you watch the Kenobi interviews? She's in them a lot. Yes, I have. Lord Bezos says, what's good, Papa Josh? Who would win in a fight? Dave Filoni or Kevin Feige? Probably Dave. He's a Pittsburgh boy. MCU Drew says, if Rebel Moon is a huge hit, I thought you said huge tit for a second there. How will that impact Star Wars moving forward? Copy it, integrate it? Yeah, so this is actually an interesting question here, Drew. I think that if Rebel Moon is a massive cultural success, not just like, oh, it's a really good movie, but if it like ignites something that feels like something that Star Wars has been missing, then I think it would behoove Star Wars to look at that, identify what was going on there, and try to replicate it. Competition is good, you know? And so if Rebel Moon becomes very good competition for Star Wars, it's actually good for Star Wars if they can learn from it and craft better stuff moving forward. So thanks for that. Superfry 401 says with a $10 holler, says, personally, I'm able to just disassociate all the background stuff when Star Wars when watching. Obviously, it affects it, but I can 100% immerse myself into what I'm watching, regardless of my disagreements, etc. Yeah, and I think that a lot of us can do that as well, but I would also argue that that doesn't mean that a studio and that an IP or a franchise doesn't need to be aware of what's going on. Like, that's not an excuse to say, oh, well, we're not going to engage or listen to criticisms at all. And we're certainly like, there's just like, that's a weird line of thinking for the studio. It's not necessarily a bad line of thinking for an individual fan, and I think that's admirable in many ways. But for the studio, I don't think it works the same way. Richard Alexander says, Moff Gideon is a perfect counterexample. A counterexample to what, my friend? You'd have to be a little bit more specific. So that I know what you're talking about there. Erna Wham says, how would you fix the Star Wars canon and make it better for all the fans? I think is what you're trying to say. Let me get into this other screen here. How would I fix Star Wars canon and make it better for all the fans? It's an interesting question. So to me, I mean, for me personally, I don't think Star Wars necessarily needs to fix the canon. I think they need to fix the brand. And the brand of Star Wars, like, here's the big problem. Right now, under Disney, I think Star Wars has a reputation and sort of an earned reputation of being focused on things other than awesome, fun Star Wars. Like, for one, making money. And there's this sort of frustration, I think, with many fans about Disney doing things to try to create a profit rather than to create great story. Now, there's always a profit. When you're making commercial art, there's always an element of profit. But it has to be in balance with great storytelling. It has to be in balance in giving the fans what they want. And actually, it can create a positive feedback loop. If you make more fun stuff within the franchise, you actually enable more positive feelings about spending money on merchandise, books, all these different ancillary things. There's a gap there for Star Wars that I think needs fixed. The other side of it is there seems to be a big lingering stink on Star Wars with regards to how it approaches the optics of the stories and the characters rather than the story, right? And a lot of studios get this wrong. And actually, there's this incredible video. I linked it on my Twitter. I highly recommend you go check it out, regardless of how you feel about female characters. Incredible video by a writer and just a really thoughtful female YouTuber that made this about a half-hour-long video talking about essentially why people like characters like Black Widow, especially before the actual Black Widow movie, and don't like characters like Captain Marvel, okay? And there's a lot of interesting things that is said in that video. One of the poignant things she said was that the way female characters had been treated in the past was absolutely bad. And in many ways, you know, there were examples of just writing women in such weird, poor, you know, borderline misogynistic ways. But the problem is the pendulum swung back, and it swung back way too far. And now you get characters like Rey, and you get characters like Carol Danvers, where you are essentially taking away important elements that endure an audience to a character because you optically think it is a bad choice to do that for that character. So the idea that a female character doesn't have flaws, can't make mistakes, these kind of ideas, horrible. They actually don't serve the story at all. They leave the story like really bereft of important elements that, again, get an audience to engage in a character. And so this idea needs to go away completely. And you need to create actual well thought out characters and not worry so much about optics. So I think Marvel, or rather Star Wars, doesn't necessarily have a canon problem. It has a brand problem. And if they could adjust those two ideas and just play ball a little bit better with audiences, I think it would go a long, long way. So that's my answer. Richard Alexander says Moff Gideon is a counterpoint example to the race Kenobi issue. If done right, we don't care who is playing the character. She just doesn't fit the role. Yeah, so, okay, so now I understand a little bit more of what you're saying. And yeah, I would agree with that. Like, the race of Moff Gideon doesn't seem to matter at all or be relevant to the story in any way. It's certainly not relevant to his character. And I don't, we're kind of making a judgment on Reva before we see the character, so we got to be careful because maybe it's executed in like a brilliant way and we're just like, dude, I love this character. But I think the problem is the sort of interviews and the optics, right? So they have Moses Ingram on stage with Kenobi and Ewan, and it feels a little bit like pandering. It feels like they want to have everybody know that they're super inclusive, right? And so, you know, that projection feels a little hollow. It feels a little sanctimonious. It feels, it doesn't feel great, right? And so, look, your mileage may vary on how you feel about that specifically, but that is at least an indication that they are treating this very differently and perhaps in a weird idealistic way as compared to what they did with Moff Gideon. Why is Moff Gideon involved in all the interviews and all that stuff? Because he's a very important character that's awesome and that we all love. I don't know that he was heavily touted before The Mandalorian even came out, right? Like, I don't really remember, so I can't like be super clear on this, but it feels like they're doing something a little bit different with the Reva character, and especially if her importance to the story and to Star Wars as a whole feels like really weirdly out of place for a brand new character. I think you're just going to run into a lot of problems with folks, you know what I mean? But it's fair. Pioneers get the arrows, says, great takes all around, Josh, and speak real truths. Looking forward to your video later. P.S. Did Kathy make note of no books to draw from again? Yeah, she did, bro. She did. It's weird. Okay, guys, we're going to get on out of here. Much love to you all. I continue to love, the discourse and our ability to sort of get into these issues. I know it's a weird time. I know that people feel very strongly about these different things, but as always, I try to do as fair as a job as possible, breaking all this down and explaining it, okay? I'm a Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I'm excited for Kenobi, despite the leaked ending. I am excited about it, and I'm excited about next weekend. I hope we get a ton of fun announcements, and I hope that as a community and as a fandom, we can get excited about things that are coming down the road. I'm not one of these people that has shut it off. I'm not one of these people that likes to preach like, oh, all these studios don't care about you, you know, blah, 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 blah. I'm not, you know, using like trigger words and all these different things. I'm just a nerd. I just like this stuff, but I also can't be in denial of a lot of the problems that these big properties and IPs have. So much love to you. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I will see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? We did it again. Right up to the edge. Ruffling a few feathers here, a few feathers there. And yet, for those of you who seek the truth, who really want to know, we have delivered a delicious dish of nuanced fact, opinion, feeling, and more. I don't even like talking about this shit. But it is my dharma to do so. Much love. Open up your third eye. Watch out for that brown eye. Tell somebody you love them, man. I'll see you guys soon.